Spencer?
Chris,
Hey.
how you doing, man?
How you?
See ya.
Good. Tell me about your business.
So Print Our Pet is a custom pet gift company where we put your pet's face, this is my dog Rue, on different products and SKUs that we have on the website. It was actually born by accident. I've always had some sort of entrepreneurial drive to start things, and prior to Print Our Pet was working on a pet bandana and scarf company. It was like these weird little infinity scarves and bandanas for pets that I had manufactured here in Dallas. And as I was trying to run profitable ads for that, trying to run all the marketing, my whole Instagram Explorer page was just inundated with different pet businesses. And I remember scrolling one day and I saw a competitor that had pet portraits like this, only it was your pet in an old-timey like Renaissance.
I've seen those.
Yeah. So I saw that company and I had seen this style of artwork on different websites for like houses, things like that. And after seeing the Renaissance portraits, I was like, this style of artwork would work really well for like a custom pen thing. And it just so happened that I had a free weekend where I had a whole weekend to myself. I was like, I wonder if I just put my head down how far I could get on a website for this, because I'd already known about outsourcing manufacturing with print-on-demand services. Were really new at that point, but I spent all my days on YouTube just looking up like running profitable ads, different business types, everything I had heard about print on demand. So I knew that I could start it for close to nothing. And the business I was running at the time with the pet scarves and bandanas was making money, was not making near enough for me to live off of. I was teaching, this was after I quit my full-time job in commercial real estate, and I was teaching fitness classes, and that was actually where I was getting the majority of my money to be able to live. And I was like, you know what, we'll just try spinning this out. So I spent one whole weekend, got on Shopify, paid the $30 for the Shopify membership at the time, and built out the whole website.
No coding experience?
No coding experience whatsoever, just a lot of University of YouTube and trial and error and really rudimentary, not even Photoshop skills. Ended up being Canva. So at that point, I didn't even know what Photoshop was. I was like, I'll figure it out on Canva. I'd used Fiverr and Upwork before for different services. So if it really got down to needing some photos, did that, took some of my own photos, ended up launching that next week. And I launched in 2019, literally months before the world shut down. When all of that happened, people did one of two things. I feel like they either got a pet or had a baby.
Yeah.
And Print Our Pet absolutely skyrocketed. The pet bandana and scarf company stayed constant and ended up shutting down that business, running this full time. By complete chance, I was talking to a friend who said that type of product would do really well on Etsy. And so we were already running sales directly through our site, and the business was doing well enough for me to be able to pull money from it. I don't have to invest in any inventory, anything like that. It was a pretty cash flow heavy business, and I was able to supplement my rent, everything, low overhead at that time. And I put the products on Etsy, and that's where everything really just hockey sticked and blew up. 2020 ended up being a 7-figure year in revenue.
Holy cow.
Which was insane, and trying to figure out how to scale with that was a whole thing in and of itself. At the end of 2020, we had 80 artists on staff that were not full-time artists. They're paid commissions per artwork coming in. And then 3 full-time employees at that time, all of which were remote. So I was leveraging kind of remote employees to be able to take care of everything.
So what month did you officially launch to the public?
November of 2019.
Okay.
Super late 2019, November.
Okay. And did you have paid ads when you launched? Like you had paid ad experience or no?
So I had paid ad experience. I had wasted a lot of money on meta ads. When I launched Print Our Pet, it was completely organic and me posting about it, telling people about it.
So your launch was just you like personally posting?
Me personally.
Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah.
Check out my thing.
Yep.
And what was your first month like with regards to revenue?
First month was low. First month was just over $1,000 in revenue, and a lot of that was attributed to friends and family that I told about it. So it was a low first month. Second month, we saw that climb as soon as we started implementing some ads, which was month 2. I was like, okay, I think this thing has legs. I thought the business model was really attractive. The fact that I didn't have to stock up on inventory, because with the previous business, that'd been a whole nightmare learning all of that. Finding a group of people to be able to sew all these bandanas and scarves and source fabric and do all these things was just a little bit of a nightmare. So I was like, you know what, let's put some money into meta ads and everything. That's when we started running our basic Facebook ads, and we were able to get up to $3,000 to $5,000 second month. And then
Can we sketch it out?
yeah, absolutely.
So 3,000 to 5,000 second month.
Yeah, so month one, we were around $1,000 in revenue, and all of that was just friends, family, you know. And luckily, we launched right around Black Friday, Cyber Monday, so we were able to, you know, kind of piggyback on that a little bit, which helped with the launch.
I call these like unsustainable sales, right?
Completely, yes. You're not doing much, especially because we have a lot of repeat customers, which is awesome, but it's not a product that lends itself to having a lot of repeat customers.
Or like a subscription.
Exactly. It's no subscription, it's no supplement, anything like that, you know, you can get a lot of repeat customers. So month two, this is when we started running Facebook ads. One of the social platforms I used with the most success was Pinterest at the time. Prior to doing all of this, when I still had my full-time job, I had learned how to scale Instagram pages to 10, 20,000 followers, and then I was flipping them and selling them. That was all done through like Telegram groups and stuff. That was back when all the engagement pods used to work well. So I was using that when I was posting. So it wasn't just like me posting to my personal Instagram, like, hey, look at this. I was kind of strategically going about that. All of that doesn't work at all anymore. But back then you could kind of utilize different groups. Exactly. Yeah, things like that. And like, you like 10 of these people's posts, and then you post the link to your most recent post and all these different pages with authority. If Instagram saw big pages liking your content, they would suggest your content to the followers of all the people with big pages. So you're able to get some explore page visibility and stuff. So I was kind of utilizing that a little bit, as well as paying for, that's back when different interest pages, like a pet page, you could pay like $50 and get a post. So that's what I started utilizing with Facebook ads, pay posts, stuff like that. But it was like, pay $20 and get a page with 400,000 followers to post a product, which was awesome and doesn't happen anymore. And that's when we were able to climb to anywhere from 3 to 5K. And then month three was when we started to see a lot of traction. Month three was when we kind of implemented all the Etsy sales on the Etsy channel itself. So from there on, we started seeing about like anywhere from 10 to 20,000 up until the end of October. Our business is very, very seasonal. At this point, I didn't know that, but now I know that we'll do anywhere from 65 to 70% of our revenue is done in just the months of November and December. Wow. So we sustained that 10 to 20 all the way from month 3 down to month 10. And it was about that same. Yeah. And so the nice thing about the business is through leveraging overseas labor, which, by the way, I couldn't say good enough things about the employees we have. They work so hard. Communication's awesome. We primarily, a lot of our employees are in the Philippines, so much so I was actually looking at getting an office in the Philippines for them to be able to go and work from. But anyways, through scaling, through labor overseas, and then the fact that we were dealing with all these different screen printing facilities, that we would pay a premium for product too. So we could save a little bit on margin if we were to do it in-house, but they took care of fulfillment, shipping, everything else. And we paid them a flat rate where they kind of boiled that into one cost. And so our margin, and at this point, the only SKUs that we had were posters, framed portraits, and digital files that we would sell. Obviously, digital files had really, really good margins because all we're paying for is the labor for the artwork to be done. The portraits, the margins were not as great. We were, for certain portraits, depending on the size, anywhere from 40 to 50% margins. So pretty low on those. But overall, our margins were anywhere from 60 to 70% margins, which were pretty awesome at that point, especially when there's no investments necessary for reinvesting in inventory, anything like that. So at this point, we are making profit, my gross profit margin was anywhere from like 20-30% a month. Okay. So 20-30% this a month that I'm making a profit. So on a really good month, like $8,000-9,000. On a month that's not as good, we're making like $3,000-4,000. But luckily my overhead at the time was not very high.
Yeah. So that was your net profit.
Yeah.
Gross is 50 to 60.
Yep.
Netting 20 to 30.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And in e-com, like if you really want to push with paid ads, you kind of have to have a 60 to 70%
You do.
gross margin.
You do. Yeah. No. And that's what I started realizing with ads, which is why the Facebook ads, as soon as we launched Etsy, scaled down, became non-existent. Etsy ads ended up being such a godsend, but for anyone that has ran ads on Etsy, there's no guaranteed spend no matter what your budget is. So for example, right now our budget on Etsy is $1,000 a day on ad spend. We'll be lucky to hit anywhere from $100 to $200 a day in ad spend because Etsy determines, where and it's a pay-per-click, which is really nice, where you're only paying for actual visits to your listing. But because of that, they don't have enough traffic to guarantee that you're able to spend your whole budget. And beyond that, you can't get very granular with any of your ads. You literally check mark a listing and say, yes, we want to advertise this listing. And you have a list of a couple listings that you want to advertise, and they choose where that ad spend is allocated, who it's shown to. Like they take care of all that, which is nice if you're looking for hands off. But if you're looking to actually be able to scale something and grow it, very, very difficult.
Yeah.
And then in those holiday months, so as soon as we got to November, that's when the ads started spending at $1,000 a day. That's where conversion rates went through the roof because we have a very giftable product. We see probably 30-40% of our sales are for people buying them for themselves personally. The other 60% is people buying as a gift for someone that has unfortunately had a dog pass. Yeah. They want to celebrate a new puppy that they got. It's their birthday and they love their dog and they want something to, have them around the house, something like that. Very giftable product, which lends itself really well to November, December time of the year. December with Christmas, and then November with all the Black Friday, Cyber Monday sales going on. A lot of people will buy gifts then to be able to give to people. So in month 10, this year, we ended up at just over $1 million in revenue. So up these 10 months until then, we're at like just over $100,000. So I'm like, $100,000 is awesome. That was always my goal to be able to, for that first year, I was like, if I can do 100,000 revenue, that's like 6 figures is such a big, that's what you want to aim for. And keep in mind that month 1 was November of the previous year, December. So we had another couple months where we were just seeing about like 150,000 revenue that we'd done in 2020. And then end of Q4 2020, November and December, absolutely exploded. We ended up doing over 800,000 revenue in those 2 months alone. When I say working 12 to 16 hour days, it was me sitting on my computer. I had to learn how to create all the raw files for the products themselves because I wasn't able to hire employees at the rate I need to hire them. There was a moment where we had to turn off the Etsy shop because we couldn't handle the influx of orders that were coming in. I was hiring new artists, trying to do everything. And that was our first full year, ended up closing out at just over $1 million in revenue, which incredible was insane.
So you might not know this, but this isn't my real channel. My full channel is linked below or right here. Go check that out for full episodes.